Welcome to our first. Wow, I really went for that more than I thought. Okay. Welcome to our first volume of one of our new recurring series called Back at Home.
These episodes are going to be full of our thoughts, reactions, and ratings back at home after seeing a new release in theaters.
So this episode, you know that I'm a big spoiler alert gal. This is a spoiler full episode, meaning like we're going to ruin this movie for you if you haven't seen it. So if you have not seen Final Destination Bloodlines, one, what are you doing? Go see it. It's so good. And two,
Yes.
go see it now and then come back and listen to this episode if you haven't already, because we are going to be like full on spoilers. Spoilers ahead. Spoilers. Spoilers ahead. Okay. All right, let's get into it.
So we're talking about Final Destination Bloodlines, which is the 6th movie in the franchise.
That sounds right. These are like all the
Okay.
details where I'm like, why did we not prepare this in advance? We prepare so many things, and then there's details where I'm always like, what date was this? And
Live
then
Googling.
honestly, the Goonies episode that I listened to, I was like, well, what was the date? It was in the 80s, and then we were like, oh, it's 1985, and I was like, yeah, so the late 80s. I'm like, why does my brain not work? 1985 is the definition of the mid 80s. Anyway, these are the issues I have.
This
yes,
is
we're
the
talking-
6th movie.
We're talking about the 6th movie, Final Destination Bloodlines. I'm gonna try to get it together. We're actually like kind of late talking about this. We're trying to be
Yeah.
really cool and hip and like culturally, I don't know, culturally now. We were trying to be in the moment, even though we mostly do nostalgic, cozy horror. But we just like, we're like, we have to just see it. And then life happened.
Yeah.
Big time for both of us. It was like one, and then the other again. But we did eventually see it, which was really exciting. And I don't know about you, but I actually went into this movie because we saw it kind of late with a surprising degree of optimism, because I just heard like across the board that it was good.
The Rotten Tomato score still blows my mind.
Crazy.
Which is 92% from critics
92.
and 88% from audience. 7.0 out of 10 on IMDb. Now, what I will say about Rotten Tomato scores and sequels, Rotten Tomato is based on like, is it a positive review or is it a negative review? That's the only
okay.
thing. It's what percent for the critic scores, what percent are positive. So often when there's a sequel that is surprisingly not bad, it's a positive review. But
Sure.
if it were standalone, it might not be quite that. With all that being said, I enjoyed this movie very much, but I think with
Yeah.
sequels on Rotten Tomatoes, it gets a little iffy.
A little inflated, but this would
Yeah.
be very inflated, and like it's Final
Very.
Destination, so I guess the bar was very low for all of us, including the critics. Like,
Yeah.
when I heard they were making this movie, I had a feeling, because the last one was so bad and like low budgety, that I thought this one would probably be pretty good, but I still wasn't expecting it to be like, wow, I think this is like actually kind of a good movie.
Well, how many sixth sequels for anything outside of like a major franchise based on some other IP have been any sort of decent? Like,
Right.
ever.
Yeah, it was kind of like a shock and not a shock. Because like I said, I had heard going in, this is going to be good, but I still had like this hint of skepticism. It's like, but
Yeah.
like, how? In what way will this actually be good? So why don't you tell me your kind of takeaway thoughts? Like, did this really hit for you? Or you're just like, okay, that was just good for a Final Destination movie?
So I genuinely had fun the entire movie. It's fun. I think
It's
that's like
fun.
the big positive thing, which is
Yeah.
what Final Destination is. Also with the caveat that I have not seen most of the sequels.
Right,
So
that's
I'm
true.
coming into this like a little bit fresher. I saw two sometime way back when, and then one recently, and then this. It was so goofy. It was really goofy.
Yeah.
And I feel like I do this all the time where I just want to talk about the end of the movie, but the end of the movie was absolutely perfect. That last scene, I thought, could not have been any better.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna come back to that because I do want your thoughts because it was a choice for sure. Um, and yeah, I agree. I agree. Everything fit. I think that it played by the formula, if you would call it that, for the Final Destination movies, in that it stayed true to like our expectations and what the movie should be, and had that level of self-awareness of like, this is goofy, this is silly, this should be fun, without it being just like, we give up, we don't give a fuck, like,
Right.
it's there still was this conscious effort to act like it was the sixth installment, also make some fresh elements, but then still be like, yeah, we're a Final Destination movie. Like, we're going to check the boxes for you.
Yes.
Do not worry. Any other initial thoughts before I read the intro?
Go for it.
Well, I don't, intro, plot summary. What is this? Okay. This is from IMDb. Plagued by a recurring violent nightmare, a college student returns home to find the one person who can break the cycle and save her family from the horrific fate that inevitably awaits them. Okay, so it's just Final Destination Family Edition, what it's called, right? Final Destination Bloodlines. Yeah. It's exactly, we're not being creative with our description here. But I really want to talk to you about the opening. I was not ready for it in the best way. Like, it comes in hot with the retro vibes, and already I'm, like this nostalgia queen. I'm like, okay, I am so in. I am so in. So we meet a couple who is going on a romantic evening to the Skyview restaurant. We're in 1968. They are just going over the top with the old cars, the old music, the old-timey dress and styling, but it still has this very high, I don't know cinema terms. Maybe you can help me here. I wanted to say like high budget. Like, this looks like a very polished movie.
High production value.
Yes, thank you. That is what I'm trying to say. Because I think it was the last Final Destination. I'm not as fresh as I should be on the sequels either, but it just had this like really kind of low budgety vibe. And I don't know why I keep saying budgety.
Well, I mean, that is like a big thought in this. Like, they've made 5 sequels to the original movie. Like, you gotta wonder, like, who was like, I'm gonna invest a significant amount of money in this.
Right. And then who was like, I'm gonna write the shit out of this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go into detail. I'm gonna like razz the fans. So anyway, before we get too much further, I have to tell you about the time. This immediately reminded me of a personal story. When I visited the ledge at the Sky Deck at the Willis Tower in Chicago. Are you familiar?
Yes, never been, never want to go.
Okay, so let me read you what the ledge is, according to their website. Feel the most unique and exciting perspective Chicago has to offer. Only 1.5 inches of glass will separate you and 103 floors below on the ledge. Glass-floored balconies perched 4.3 feet outside of the Willis Tower. The Willis Tower is one of the tallest buildings in the country. Maybe it's like top 3, I think.
Terrifying.
So I went there. I included in our little show notes a couple pictures of my little feetsies on the glass deck. I was so nervous. I couldn't find the picture. There's one of me like basically like sitting like in the fetal position. Like, if you could, I'm like curled. I'm definitely having like a fight or flight moment. I'm not like crazy afraid of heights, but I'm not super, this isn't like, I'm not like a thrill seeker where I'm like, oh, let me go stand on 1.5 inches of glass. So I was freaked out. But it was fine. It was cool views when you're at the bar. It just kind of reminded me of that whole vibe. But interestingly, very soon after my visit, there were a lot of breaking news stories about people standing on the ledge and the glass cracking. Okay.
That's literally how this movie starts.
So I was wondering, I was like, did this inspire that part of the movie? Because Final Destination really plays on these real fears. Like, it's, intrusive anxious thoughts coming true in the worst way. And in the opening scene, that's eventually what happens, is that the glass breaks and they fall and they're on this, huge tower restaurant
Mm-hmm.
that has opened weeks ahead of schedule. And I remember reading through the news stories on the glass cracking, and of course they're like, it was just the superficial crack. Like, there's no danger. No one was ever in danger. And it's like, of course you would say that. Of course you would say that. There's
Yeah.
no danger standing on 1.5 inches of glass, 1,000 feet in the air. No danger. Anywho, it reminded me of that. In addition, to it kind of sparking this personal memory, I also enjoyed one, the mini rom-com that was happening.
So
I
cute.
was so into it.
They were a great
I
little
was
couple.
so into it. They were so cute and likable, aside from the fact that he was bringing her there to propose, knowing that she was scared of heights. But other than that, adorable.
Yeah. Also, public proposals, not my thing.
Not great, not great. He
Yeah.
was at least like, it was kind of, on the balcony, whatever.
He meant well. He meant
well. He was
Yeah.
very pure-hearted.
Yeah.
I also appreciated that while this still followed the initial disaster opening, it had a little bit of a twist. We had that her waking up from it being a dream. So, and then it left a lot of
Yes.
questions where we
Yeah.
were like, we didn't know if that actually happened for a while.
Yeah.
I guess not too long, because we learned that the dream was about her grandmother Iris, and that Iris was still alive. So presumably it didn't happen, but we don't know if it happened and then she saved, a chunk of people, kind of like similar to the other movies. So I liked that little bit of mystery that was like a little bit fresh,
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't just here's a character, here's obvious foreshadowing. Now that character has died.
Yes.
They
Now
built
this
a little
group-
bit more into this.
Right. Now this group will be picked off one by one, which still happens. But I will also say, next thought about this movie is that for the first time in Final Destination history, I gave a shit about some of the characters. I actually kind of
That's
cared.
So funny because I was
You
just
didn't.
about to say I didn't, and I
You didn't.
appreciate that they did not make me care enough about the characters because they
gosh.
were all gonna die.
Exactly. That was kind of part of what I liked about this movie, is that they tried to do like a tad more character development, at least from my perspective. I bought in a little bit more. If Iris was there, I think that's why they killed Iris off really quickly, because I think we would have been really invested in her story. So they're just like, we'll just kill her. The main character, as usual, the female lead, I didn't care for. Did not care for. She didn't have a personality. I liked her brother. I liked the cousin trio and their parents.
They
I
were
actually
all
liked
pretty
them.
fun. Yeah,
I like that family. I thought the oldest alt kind of goth cousin
yeah,
was
Yeah.
really fun, and acted well. And I even just like the kind of silly jock brother. Like, he was really endearing to
he
me.
was
Like,
cute.
right? So I just kind of cared, like, not to the degree of like, oh, I cried when they died, but it was a little bit where I was like, oh man, it's Final Destination. Like, none of you are gonna make it. Like,
Yeah.
no. And it made me
Yeah.
just like a tad bit sad. Tad bit sad.
Well, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I think just also this one having the family dynamics made it a little bit more relatable. Like, the particular toxic dynamics that were going on in this family aren't something that I necessarily have experienced, but still have that more like universal theme.
They seemed real. Yes.
There's something going on. And then I really just like the cousins vibe. Like, at the beginning when the brother is just leaving and he's like, I'm going to the cousins. And then they're all just hanging out, and they clearly hang out all the time. I just thought it was cute.
You have that. You totally
I
have
do.
that vibe.
I
It's
do
so
have
nice.
that. Yeah, I have cousins who are just like besties. And
Yeah.
yeah, Morgan and Brooke, if you ever listen to this podcast. Hey, I love you. Yeah, I love the family energy. And I want your opinion on this. How you felt about Bloodlines theory. Did you
I
like that?
Loved it because it was death pettier than ever.
Ever.
It wasn't like, I don't think death has a plan is like really what it is. It's like
Yeah.
death has a little bit of a type A personality and just really
Yeah.
needs things to go the way
Yeah.
that they were originally planned.
Totally. Like such a controlling bitch. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Totally. I kind of felt like it worked. I was surprised to have a Final Destination backstory, reasoning actually work for me. But when
Yeah.
the main girl, what is her name? I wrote it
I
down because I didn't know.
I hit record and I just
Stephanie.
thought, oh shit, I don't remember the character's name.
I had to look it up. Stephanie. Okay. So Stephanie, when her entire personality is just suddenly becoming Iris with like, I don't know. I mean, whatever. Her character was the only one where I was like, this
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. The pacing doesn't make sense. But her entire personality suddenly becomes like, I am Iris and I must solve this based on her really strange yet awesome book. But when she's
Yeah.
mapping out the entire family tree of people who are at the Skyview, who we find out that Iris did save. Like she stopped the entire disaster from happening. Everyone got out alive. So then Death was like, I've got to pick off you. But apparently, like, wait a minute. By this time, you've all spawned children. So then, like, all of you who never were going to exist have to go. Yeah, I kind of liked it. It kind of worked for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. It gave us like a reason to root for a group. There's also something else interesting about the main character. So like in the first Final Destination, he like literally sees what's about to happen. Like
Yeah.
like sees it. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
not every time, but she's just like, "Oh, I don't know. It could be that pole saw falls down and then the guy with the leaf blower gets distracted and then the soccer ball hits you in the head." Like it's more intuitive
Yeah.
than premonition, which I actually
True.
thought was kind of interesting because it makes it feel like a little bit more like a Jessica Fletcher superpower than
Anxiety.
just a premonition. Yeah.
We both have it, Sarah.
I mean, I told you this driving home from this movie, but then also like afterwards, I was like so on guard and I was like, oh, that knife there, that could be dangerous. I need to move that.
Well, I told you what happened to me. I was
Yeah.
voice recording my thoughts, and someone literally almost T-boned me. And I caught it on video, like me like honking. I have like the worst little car horn. It's like one of the ones that's like meet me.
Oh,
But they
that's scary
stopped.
though, especially
Oh.
after this movie.
Yeah, there was a lot of nervous laughing after that. I was like, hang on, hold on, please. I have to regroup. Another thing that really threw me about this movie, I have been, for whatever reason, a little bit emotional lately. Okay, I don't know what it is, but just one of those moods where a commercial, you'll just cry. You're like, why?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
was the grandma eating lunch alone, you know?
Uh-huh. I get it.
So that's how I've been for the past few weeks. This movie made me tear up 2 times at a minimum.
Oh no.
Yeah. Am I embarrassed about that? A little bit. Little bit. Let me tell you though, I'm gonna defend myself
Break it
here.
down for us.
The first time. So we have Stephanie and her brother. I forget his name. Maybe he'll come up later. The brother who I allegedly was so invested in. I can't remember any of their names. Okay, so Stephanie and her brother were abandoned by their mom at age 10. We also know that the mom is Iris's daughter. We know that
Yes.
Iris was cuckoo bananas
Yeah.
from the incident, and she had
Sure was.
Okay, quick sidebar. Iris's house. In what universe did that home make her safe from death?
It
There were
was
spiky
full of death
things
traps.
everywhere.
I'm
I
with
wanted more
you.
explanation there. Okay, that didn't make sense to me. I just was
No.
like, everything's spiky. Everything's
Yeah.
spiky. Like, you can't kill death with a spike.
And
It
you
was
know
just
what?
like-
It also wasn't gonna like prevent any people from coming in. That was silly.
Yeah, I didn't get that. It was
Yeah.
fun looking.
Yeah.
Didn't get it.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. So Stephanie's mom they were going in the camper. I think they've all been convinced by this point that, like, yes, death is coming for all of us. We're all gonna die. I think at least 2 family
Yep.
members had died. And they were kind of finally buying into Stephanie's rants about like, you're all going to die and in this order. The
Yeah.
mom is discussing why she abandoned the family, and basically says something like, about how Iris had an impact on her. And then she started, when she had kids, she had that same level of anxiety of just like everything bad is going to happen. And when she said something like, if I didn't leave, like I was going to ruin your lives, it just like really hit me as someone with anxiety. It's just like
Yeah.
anxiety can like literally ruin your life. It's like nothing bad could
Yeah.
ever happen to you, but thinking that it could, your world can become so small. And just as someone with like postpartum anxiety who experienced that like continual fear that like something bad was going to happen to my baby, it's just like it
Hmm.
just really hit me. And like luckily I was able to come out of that, but you could see how if like that's how you felt, like you literally could ruin your life. So like the mom character really didn't have moments beyond that where I was like, wow, like what an arc. But because it's a Final
That's true.
Destination movie. Like this
Yeah,
isn't a family
of
drama.
course. Yeah.
But I still like this movie oddly was almost 2 hours long, but it oddly like took these moments to have these emotional
Hmm.
conversations and pauses and like depth to it that I really wasn't ready for. That being one of them. I'm not crying right now. I am just having vocal fry. Okay, everybody. That is the truth. Watch the video.
You're making me cry a little bit.
I know. I mean, no, I do feel emotional talking about it. Like that really
Yeah.
was a surprise for me though at Final Destination. But the other time I welled up was just Tony Todd,
Yeah.
uh he has this beautiful little single scene. It was the last movie he was ever in, and then it is clear that he's like nearing the end of his life and
Yeah.
is not doing well. Um, and just thinking about that and how they let him have creative control over the scene and kind of ad lib his dialogue and how he just ends with saying something like I'm just gonna go out and live my life and enjoy it while I can, something along those lines. And I was like, oh,
I also
why are you hitting me in the heart, Tony
I
Todd?
love that they gave him this backstory that gave him
Yes,
like a
so
tie
good.
into like knowing all of this, um, like knowing how all of this would go down for like all of the movies that he had been in previously. Like it makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes, and that he was able to cheat death because of Iris staying alive this whole time because
Yes.
she was, keeping the bloodline, like the order from getting to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. And then I like that it just like he just left and that was the end for him. There was
And
no dramatics, nothing. It just was like, I don't know. I thought it was a really good send off. And then I also liked how they just were like, anyway,
yeah.
gruesome MRI death scene.
I mean, he had a big impact on all that happening, actually.
He
Which
did.
the
He
MRI
did.
death scene was actually ruined for me by social media before the movie, and
Oh,
I'm
was it?
kind of glad.
Were you?
That one was a lot. That was
Yeah.
oof.
So that leads me perfectly into my next question for you. Was the gore too much? Or was it just campy enough? Like it was so campy, it was so over the top, but it was a lot. So give me your thoughts on that.
We've already discussed we're ruined with the
Yes.
movies that we watched. Like nothing is really too gory for us. The MRI one was like that one was pretty brutal for me. Uh, but beside that, like it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so the first Final Destination, which we recently covered, had a degree of gore, but I would say it was like much more tame and much more
Yeah.
spaced out. And then we discussed how the later installments, like in order to try to keep some level of like shock value and surprise, just leaned into gore. And I do appreciate kind of the creativity and the camp of it. But for me personally, like I just don't need it. Like I could just be like,
Yeah.
squish, moving on. Like I'm not there for that part of it personally. But I know other people really do think it's like I don't know, like enjoyable. It seems weird to say, but like people find it entertaining, and I do understand that to a degree. Like my husband and I every now and again will like high five and be like, "Good kill," on a TV show. There certainly were those moments where you're just like, "Whoa." But
I think there's also a difference for me of like a really gory immediate kill or
yeah.
like, like I'm thinking about the opening scene when she's like hanging from the
Oh,
building by
with
her
the
finger
finger.
and the
Oh,
ugh, see like
the
that
degloving of the finger. Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't appreciate that. But like
No, no,
how
no.
Iris died was like so
Yes.
sudden and surprising-ish and
Ish,
gory,
yeah.
but like that was entertaining. She just gets like a
Yeah.
giant spike through the back of the head.
Yeah. It was very comedic too, where she's just like seeing is believing, like knowing she's just about to get like
Yeah.
massacred. But
And then
yeah.
Iris gets sprayed with all the blood. Like it's
Oh
very
yeah.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Stephanie. Stephanie. It's
Oh,
right. Yeah,
sorry,
yeah, yeah.
Stephanie.
She has a name,
So
Sarah.
memorable.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Okay, well let's go on to then my question that I can't get enough of. Do you have a favorite kill from this movie?
It's the last two. Is Stephanie and her brother at the end with the logs from the derailed train that
Yeah.
has come off the tracks into a neighborhood. But not only that, it has happened at the perfect time because they have just learned that they did not actually cheat death, and that
Yeah.
proves death is the pettiest. And
Yes.
I loved the callback to what is obviously like the most famous Final Destination death with the logs. I love how like completely out of the realm of possibility that one was. And they
Yes.
just no question they got squished.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I had plans to talk about the ending at the end, but
I'm
we
sorry.
just can't stay away from it.
I knew the moment the movie ended, I was like, oh
I
God,
have
I'm
to
gonna
talk about
ruin this
this.
podcast episode.
You're like, I can't not do it. Okay, well, we can talk about the ending. Because I do have, okay, what did I say about that? Um, okay, yeah. So you were clearly very happy about it. Did you have, have but a moment where you hoped that like, oh, the brother and sister, like they made it, when they like we think that it's the ending and they're having this happy little prom night and like did you have like a moment where you're like, okay, this if this is the end of the franchise, say, like two people beat death and that's the end. Did a small part of you think, oh, nice.
I was fine with that. I thought that
Yeah.
was the end. I didn't think too hard about it because I would have realized had I spent 2 seconds thinking about it that she hadn't actually died
Yeah.
when she drowned. That's not how that works.
Right.
But I was like totally fine with that. I was like, okay, yeah, yeah, this feels right. The end of the first Final
Yeah.
Destination, two of them
Right.
survive. Like,
Presumably, yeah. Yeah.
sure, sounds great.
Right. Yeah.
But then it happened and I laughed out loud. So
Yeah, yeah. The ending was very like, all right.
yeah.
So so we're going there. We're going to like complete ridiculousness for sure. Yeah. No, I kind of was the same way. I think if it truly had been that ending, people would have been a little bit less enthusiastic about this movie. I think that they did the right thing by ending it there, especially because the two characters that survived, while I cared about them as like a brother sister combo, they weren't the two that I would have picked to survive to the end.
I mean, I am one of those people. I think I would have been like, okay, that was fine. But
That was
that
fine.
last scene signaled like that the filmmakers were in on the joke the entire time. Like
Totally.
it that bumped it up from like a 6 or 7 out of 10 up to like an 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And there are other instances in the movie where that happened as well, like the filmmakers kind of being in on the joke and poking fun at the fans. As I wanted to talk to you about the tattoo. We have to talk about the tattoo parlor scene. 'Cause
Okay,
that was
yes.
absurd. Specifically, first, I want to talk about it just in general, but there was a similar dynamic to that entire scene as the crazy teacher death in the first one. The one
Right.
where
Yes.
yes, there's just like so much happening and she dies like 12 different ways. And we called out in our episode how she was drinking, vodka from her coffee cup and how the fandom was like, unless that was ever clear, like the fire would not catch like that.
Yes.
So in the tattoo parlor scene where everything's getting set up and we're like, ooh, this guy's about to die. We know he's next. They zoom in on the cleaning fluid to show the percentage of alcohol content on it. And I was like,
So
ooh,
good.
you did it. You did it. You did it. And then when it
You
combusts, you're like,
listened. Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was so funny. And also, that scene was just absurd. Absurd.
So, do you remember learning about and have also come across in life at other times Rube Goldberg machines?
It sounds familiar, but I can't think of why.
We did a project on these in like sixth grade or something, I think, if we were in the same class. You and I didn't do it together. I did it with another girl named Sara. But anyway, they're like a machine where like what's a classic Rube Goldberg machine? I promise this is.
Is this
I'm
like
trying-
the balloon popping thing that we did?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So it's
Okay.
like creating a machine that will take like 11 steps to do something that you could easily do
Yes.
in one. Like
Yes.
put your toast in the toaster would have like a string tied to a weight to open the refrigerator, and then there's something that grabs the bread from the, you know what I mean? And
Right,
it does
right,
like
right.
all
Yeah.
these things. That's
Yeah.
how I feel about these two scenes, the tattoo parlor
Yes.
scene and the teacher scene. Like they feel like a Rube Goldberg machine to me.
Totally. And that's definitely a Final Destination thing where you're seeing all of these ridiculous little things have to come together where death is just like,
Yeah.
boonk, boonk, boonk. And then it's just this horrific cascade of events that eventually lead to, in this case, not his death,
No,
which was surprising. I kind of like that when he just
he
locks
didn't even
up.
get a piercing torn out in this
Oh
scene.
my gosh. Leaving your septum piercing in after having that happen is a choice and a
Yep.
half.
Yeah.
And I also, didn't it happen again? Like when in his eventual death, something happened, like all his piercings ripped out because of the
By the MRI machine. Well, I
yeah,
don't
that
think
was
the
gross.
last one got ripped out. I think it was what drew him into the MRI machine.
Yeah.
But all the up top
Yikes.
piercings did get ripped out.
Yeah, that was a lot. You were
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That one was a lot.
Yep.
I have two final thoughts. One is not a thought. One, actually, I wanted you to know to ask you if you noticed this. Well, of course, you noticed this Easter egg. The mom is talking about when they're going to the hospital. They're trying to figure out the name. She's trying to remember as they know that this friend of Iris's, JB, is working there, who we eventually find out is the Tony Todd character. That's like his little nickname, JB. It's cute. Anyway, she's like trying to remember the name, and this is not a direct quote, but I'm ad-libbing here. And she was like, Garden River, Bay River, Clear River? Or like Clear River, then so she's like Hope River, and they're like, Hope River, that's it. Ended up being like Hope River Hospital. But I like the little Clear River nod. And I wonder how many other Easter eggs there were in this movie. Listeners, let us know
Tell
about
us.
other Easter eggs you noticed, because we are not as big of Final Destination fans as we're acting right now.
But
We are
like,
fangirling
like
so
we
hard.
almost want to be. We almost want to be after this.
We might. Yeah, but then we're going to go back and watch the other subpar sequels and be like,
I love bad movies. Like I think this is how I should be spending my time.
that's true. Actually, maybe you'll just have a great time. I can't
Yeah.
remember. I think I watched the second one. I was like, It has to be bad in the right way. It has to be the right flavor of bad,
Yes.
for sure.
It has to, it
Which
has
I
to
don't
be
know if they are.
bad enough to be funny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But not unaware of its badness.
Depends. It has
I
to be
don't
like it has to be even more bad if it's totally unaware, if it's like trying too hard. The worst is like somewhere right in the middle. Then it's
Yeah.
boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we know
Yeah.
Sarah can't do boring. She
No.
can't. That is the biggest crime of anything. All right, one last question for you. This is kind of philosophical, so I apologize for that. We talk about death a lot in these movies, right? Talk about death. He's extremely petty. He's like kind of funny.
Yes.
Relentless, right? Do you think that there's a quote, I don't even know what to call it, like a life or like some sort of good entity that is trying to help or intervene on our behalf? Because in all of the movies, there is a person who has been given this either intuitive
Oh.
gift or a premonition. Like premonitions don't just come out of nowhere. Like you are not a premonition. You like have a premonition, right? So it's like there's these people that suddenly awaken these gifts, right? That help them try to cheat death. One, do you think that there is such a positive energy acting here? And two,
Hmm.
do you think it's really helping us out? Is she doing enough? Okay.
Right? If there is, like, she's super unsuccessful,
Right? There
which,
should
like,
be, though. There
makes
should
me
be, right?
like,
If there's a death, shouldn't there be something else?
okay, so, but then, like, do you think that maybe it's just death being like, ugh, I could kill all these people in this boring way, or I could have them think that they're saved and then do it the most ridiculous way possible?
Oh, you think death is like doubling down and being like with the ending where he's like, I'm gonna make them think they
Yeah.
cheated death by letting them live for several weeks and get all comfy cozy and then
Yeah.
squish them in an elaborate train wreck log
I mean, like,
explosion.
think about the Rube Goldberg type scenes. Think
Yeah.
about the tattoo parlor, which he didn't die, but that was obviously death's doing.
Yes.
But also think about the fact that characters die by getting hit by a bus. If death is not about efficiency here, he is playing a game, and I don't think he can play the game unless he sets up these elaborate scenarios.
Interesting. He's just like
Yeah.
you. He's just bored. And
He's just
like,
bored.
How bored is
Who wants
he?
the camp?
Depends on what happens. Depends on whether you get the
Yeah.
bus or you get the tattoo parlor scene.
It's just very cabin in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need the
And kind of choosing your own
story. You need
destiny because
yeah.
like the Eric character who was the one who had the tattoo parlor scene, I think his name was Eric, and then had the one of the MRI deaths. He definitely was the most like sassy about like this isn't happening,
Yes.
this isn't coming for
Mhm.
me. You know, or I feel like the other ones who are just like whatever, I just want to move on with my life. They're the ones where death is just like squoosh. You know, like, you're no
Yeah.
fun to me. So
That's
it's all
what I'm
death. That's what we
saying.
think. That's what we think.
Yes.
Any final thoughts?
Yes. Do you think that the prevalence of or the sheer amount of damage done by a singular penny in this movie, because remember, it's a penny that is supposed to take down the whole Sky Tower at the beginning, and then it is a penny that causes that train to go so far off its tracks, it goes into a neighborhood. It's the same penny. Do you think the damage that that penny inflicted is the reason why our government just decided to get rid of all pennies? Because the timing's suspicious.
I like when you ask these like extremely long questions and my answer just like, yeah, probably. Probably. Why not? I like it.
Yeah, the timing works out for that. I think
That's
I
true,
think
it
some
does.
key members of government saw this movie and they went, it's time. It's finally
You
time to
know
get
what?
rid of the
But
penny.
what do they do with the pennies? Or did they melt them down? Where do they go?
They're just gonna stop printing them.
Ah, I
They're not
see.
printing them. They're gonna stop making them, and then like businesses have to, like they're not pennies will still be worth 1 cent, but
Mhm.
businesses have to round to the nearest 5 cents
Wow.
now.
The way I just barely could continue listening to you when you
I know
explained it to
it's
me.
very boring.
I was like, oh,
It's a real thing,
so I
though.
don't know this because I couldn't focus the first time I tried to learn what's going on. All right. Anyway, yeah, probably right. Government's in on it. Maybe the government is death. That doesn't make sense, but
Maybe
it
Death has a
feels
deal with the
right.
government.
Oh yeah, who knows? Who knows? That's like basically season 3 of Chucky or something like that. But
Oh, interesting.
yeah. Oh, we have to give our rating.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Out of 5. So my rating is I'm gonna give it. I went back and forth, but I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, movies that are very gore, almost like body horror heavy, just are not gonna have like hit every mark for me, I guess, until
Mm.
I watch them for the 10th time. Like this movie could end up being like a 4 star once I'm fully desensitized to the yuckiness. And I'm just watching it on the background while I'm, reading a book or something. But yeah, I'm gonna go 3.5 out of 5. Very solid hit the mark for me, for sure.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's like it's north of Solid. It's north of
Yes.
Solid. It's not into I'm not going to recommend this movie to anyone outside of the population of people who would enjoy this podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, like an average Joe.
Yeah. But if you
Yeah.
like this podcast, I'm definitely recommending this movie.
For sure.
Yeah.
We recommend it. Go see Final Destination if we haven't just ruined it for you. Or just still go see it anyway. It's really
Yeah.
fun. I think Death would like you because I feel like you're a big fan of his work, and at least in this franchise.
You think
You're
we'd get
really
along.
endorsing it.
Yeah.
You're like, I respect you. I respect the hustle.
Yeah. Keep it up.
You give
up
him
the good
credit for
work.
literally everything. Do your thing. All right. Well, before we fully close out of this episode, I wanted to give an update that our first paranormal listener story roundup will be pushed back to August, most likely due to lack of hustle. I'm just kidding. But literally, I have one story and it's from my mom. So,
Oh, wait, I can't wait for
it's
that
good
one.
though. It's so good. She had never told me, and it was somewhat recent, but it's actually really sweet. It's such a good story.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm
I
so
was
excited.
blown away. But yeah, so you'll hear that in August, maybe
Okay,
with some others
can't
if
wait.
anyone wants to submit. So we tried to make the submission process pretty simple. We have a Google form, you put your name, you put your email, you copy and paste your story, you click a button that allows us to read it, right? And use it on our podcast. So you can't come back and be like, excuse me, you did what? And then you just send it over to us. So that link is, I think it's in our Instagram bio. I think it's like linked from our YouTube. It's on our Substack. I did an extra little linky link. So, or you just DM us on Instagram. We'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Just,
We will make this as easy as you want it to be.
yeah, we'd love to hear your stories. And we're looking forward to doing more of those in the future. But, there's only so much we can do. So for now, push back till August. But we are going to be doing some other series similar to this one, so kind of just like mixing it up. We're gonna do some like TV specials, some just purely paranormal episodes. We're at some point gonna maybe do like a little slumber party where we watch a movie together. That will be fun. We need to both.
We might have some paranormal stories paired with some mocktails. It's just gonna be fun.
We're going to be doing some fun stuff. Our main goal with this podcast moving forward is to keep the theme going. The haunted Halloween, light horror, ghosty vibes that we all love here. But we're just going to try to have as much fun with it as possible in as many ways as we can think of it. So
that's it.
Stick around. We're so happy to have you all here. It's been nice getting to know a few people over on Instagram, and we're just like really looking forward to building this community and getting to know more of you. So like, please do reach out. We're nice if you can't tell. we're friendly.
We'll be extra nice.
Oh my gosh,
if you find us on social media.
If you leave us a review and write nice words, we will personally shout you out on the podcast. I can promise you that if a 5-star review comes through and has kind words to say about the podcast, I will read it.
Truly, someone left a comment this last week, made our week.
Loved it. Yeah, we're just, I don't know. It's nice because we really enjoy talking to each other, but we also, enjoy sharing this with other people too. That's why it's, we're putting it out there. That's it for today's episode. Yeah.
So what we're talking about, you just tell us what we're talking about next week, Ashley.
What are we talking? I can't stop talking as usual. So we will be talking about our first creature feature as promised, Tremors. So we're very excited. And you haven't seen that, right, Sarah?
No, I'm really excited though.
Oh my gosh, you're going to love it. I'm so excited.
I think it's right up my alley.
Oh, it's perfect. Okay, well, we'll see you there. Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Haunted Homebodies. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
And remember, when in doubt, just stay home.